Hey guys, it's Mr. O'Brien here, and I'm going to walk you through using the VEX VR system that we're going to be actually messing around with while we're out. So to start off with, once you open up the link, it's going to take you to a web page similar to this. However, you will probably have a tutorial screen pop up, which is this guy right here. It's just a getting started tutorial. Please watch this. It's going to help you out tremendously. Just kind of walk you through some of the very, very basics of getting this whole system to work. After you're done with that, I highly, highly recommend going through some of the other tutorials that are available. You can actually use this little link right here with the little light bulb. If you click on that, again, it takes you to the screen with all of these different tutorials that are available for you to use. As soon as you're done watching some of the tutorials, obviously we can close this out. If you ever want to get back into the tutorials, so that way you can uh, get a little refresher if you need it, right up here in the top left, you can actually click on the little light bulb with the tutorials and open it up again and access any of those. All right, so actually what we're going to be doing first, I would highly recommend making sure that you name your project. So all you need to do is click on this blue box right up here, and then you can call your project whatever, right? So I can call it the OB maze, and I'll go ahead and rename that. And I'm basically ready to go at this point. So um, before we actually open up the playground here, which I will, there is a help button right over here. And you can actually select on any of these uh, blocks over here to learn a little bit more about that block and what it's actually capable of doing. So at any point in time, if you're not sure what it is, just click on it, click on the help button right up here, and then click on the block that you're interested in learning more about, and it's going to actually tell you a little bit more about that and how to use it. In order to close it, we can just hit the arrow here or just click on the question mark again. All right, so we're going to go ahead and open up the playground. And you should actually, for you, it's probably going to start off with the grid map, which is going to look something like this. However, our first official assignment here is actually under the wall maze. So we'll actually open that up, go down to wall maze, and open this up. And there we go. All right, so keep in mind there are a few buttons here that you're actually able to use. First off, if you want to expand it to make it a little bit larger, you can do that. You can also hide it and then move it out of the way if you need to. Whenever you want it back up, you can open that back up. All right, so I'm just going to keep it off to the side here a little bit. Also down in here, we also have our play button. So that's actually going to test our code that our blocks that we're placing in here. And then whenever your robot messes up or runs into a wall or you're done testing it, then you can just reset it and with this little circle arrow down here, and you're ready to go for another round. All right, so right down here, we also have a few different camera angles we can play with. So we do have the more of a 3D view. If you want to go ahead and run this, it's a little bit more difficult to figure out your way through the maze when you're looking at it from this angle. So you can actually work out what you need to do from the more bird's eye view. In addition to this, you can also get rid of the information at the top just by clicking this button here. More than likely, we're not going to be really using, you're not going to need too much of this information. So if you'd like, you can go ahead and close those off. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the coding portion. So what we need to do, for most of this, we're actually going to be using the blue blocks here. So one of the first things we would need to do is we need to set our speed for our robot, or our velocity, right? So we can actually set our drive velocity here just by clicking and dragging, and then we would drop it right where you see that shadow. You drop it right there. And then we're actually able to change this number right here to either increase or decrease the velocity of our robot. So we've set the drive velocity. Now this is the forward and reverse action. However, our turning is still kind of going to be slow, so we can actually set our turn velocity as well. So again, drag and drop it right there. It says set turn velocity to, right now it's at 50. We'll increase that to 100%. All right, now we're actually able to start adding in more lines of our code. So in this case, we want to, just by looking at a robot from where it's at, in order to get to our finish line, right, we're going to need to drive forward. So we have two options here. One option would be to drive forward, and we actually have to set it for either a certain distance or a certain amount of time. So I can use this, what's called wait, and I can tell it to run for, say, a certain amount of seconds, say 1.5 seconds. And then after that 1.5 second is up, then I can add a stop driving. So if I were to put this in, and we can test this out and hit play, it's going to drive forward for 1.5 seconds before it actually finally stops. Obviously that was way too long. It ran into the wall. Didn't work out quite well. So we'll go ahead and just reset. And then I can go ahead and click on this. In order to get rid of it, just drag it right over here and drop it. So the other option here is to drive forward with a certain distance. Let me go ahead and move this over a little bit. There we go. So we are able to drive forward for a set amount of distance. So what we can do is we can go ahead and play around with this. I could say, okay, well, maybe let's move it to 500 millimeters and see where that takes us. So I'll go ahead and hit play. And once again, it's still driving forward. The problem with this is it's not reaching that 500 millimeter distance. It's continuing to drive. So we're going to go ahead and stop that there. Occasionally, what could help, you could add in a stop driving there. So once it drives 500 millimeters, it should stop. So we'll go ahead and try it again. Now you'll notice that this is a little bit of an issue. It's kind of stuck on this because it's trying to reach a distance of 500 millimeters, but since there's a wall in place, it can no longer reach that distance. So therefore, it's not going to stop. Even with the stop driving there, it's not going to stop. So we know that's too far, so we'll have to cut down on that. Let's take it back down to 200 millimeters, find out where we're at. Okay, so we'll go ahead and put play, test it out. There we go. It actually stopped by itself. I don't even need the stop driving in there anymore because it reached its set distance and the code actually stops running. All right, so just like before, we can actually set our turns with time limits if we would want. So we can actually add in a certain amount of time to turn either right or left. And then we could tell it to stop driving. Let's see, we could also, well, actually, we won't take a look at those ones just yet. The other option here is right here where we can actually tell it to either turn right or turn left for a certain number of degrees, right? So obviously we want it to turn 90 degrees, so we'll go ahead and leave it there. And we'll go ahead and get rid of this for now. You can give this stuff a try if you'd like. However, whenever you're turning, degrees is typically a little bit easier to deal with rather than trying to figure out how many seconds it's going to take you to turn 90 degrees. So we'll go ahead and try that out. Let's go ahead and stop it and reset and hit play. There we are. Stop. So we can see our robot. It might not have traveled far enough. It might end up running into that wall right there. But there's only one other way to find out. So we know that we probably should increase that distance a little bit more before we continue on. And then you can continue adding on lines of code. All right, so say your robot finally reaches the end goal, which is reaching the red and black checker box here. But again, that's only half of the assignment. The rest of the assignment is actually going to get your robot to travel all the way back to the start position here. And then your maze is complete. So it's getting from the start to the finish and back to the start is your main goal, is your main objective. All right, so once you're done and your robot has accomplished whatever it needed to do, all right, again, going from start to finish and then back to start, we have named our file or our project. And now we actually need to, you need to send me the file so I can test it myself and see how you did. So in order to do that, you're going to click on this file and you're going to save to your device. Now it's up to you where you want to save it. You can actually create a folder somewhere where you're actually able to save that into that folder. You can create like a VEX folder. But anyways, so you're going to go ahead and save it to your device. Mine is downloading it to my computer, and then I'm actually able to open up the folder that it actually saved in, which is probably going to be in the downloads folder. Yeah, so if I open that up, you'll see I have my download right there. This is where I'm going to be grabbing this from. So in order to send it to me, you'll go into your email, you'll compose a new email. You're going to send it to me, d'O'Brien@cranberrysd.org. Your subject is going to be your name, right? So O'Brien Maze 1. And then down here at the bottom, there is a little attach files paperclip. You can click on that. And mine pops right up here. I know it's in my downloads folder, so I can actually click on that. I double clicked on it and it threw it right in my email. And then all you need to do is click send and it's off. I'll let you know. I'll test them out. I'll let you know if you did anything wrong, and we can try and modify it from there. Again, if you guys have any questions at all, please feel free to email me at any point in time. I'm going to be available during school hours and most likely after school as well. So please make sure that you touch base with me if you have any questions. Once you start with the next assignment, which is the drawing, which is actually in the art canvas here, it's very similar. You're just going to be setting that up. Make sure you name your project, complete what you need to, and then make sure that you save your file somewhere and send it to me. I guess one last thing. You will actually be working with some of the purple blocks in here when specifically the move robot pen up and down for your next assignment. So if you have any more questions, please feel free to email me at any point in time and let me know, and I'll certainly help you out as best as I can. All right, guys, have a great one, and we'll be in touch.